In this video, I'll be checking out the SofaBaton X1S. This is a all-in-one smart remote control for your media devices in your lounge or home cinema setup. And in this video, I'll be comparing it to the Logitech Harmony One remote. This is my go-to remote for many years, but sadly its support from Logitech has been dwindling. I'm basically seeing if it's a like-for-like match, or does the SofaBaton do anything specifically better than the Logitech remote, or anything worse. So without further ado, let's jump in and see what comes inside the box. Okay, so here's what you get inside the box. You get a instruction manual and a quick start guide. You get the SofaBaton itself. You get a 10-watt power adapter to USB-A to most likely power the hub itself, as well as use it to charge the SofaBaton. You get two IR blaster cables. One has a dual blaster on one side, and then the other one just has one, so you've got three IR transmitters you could blast to your different media devices. And then you've got two USB-A to USB-C cables to not only charge the baton, you can also charge the hub and keep it powered as well. These are both similar in length. And then you get the actual hub, which we'll reveal now. And that's nice and glossy black. We've got some input ports at the bottom. You've got means to wall mount it if you want to wall mount it. Status indicator light, very similar to the Logitech hub. SofaBaton branding and probably a power indicator there at the top. On the back, you've got the connection ports for the blaster cables 1 and 2. You've got the USB-C to power it. And this looks like a reset switch you can actually reset the box with and potentially pair it as well. So looking over at the baton then, it is a nice size. It's not too overly bulky in its width. It's got a good length to it. Couple of major functions here. We've got the back, home and menu buttons. We've got a program, most likely up and down, mute and volume functions. We've got previous and next or back and forward functions for your media devices, as well as play and pause. And then you've got some shortcut keys for either the TV, such as the color combos, red, green, yellow and blue, or you could utilize these for other functionalities on other devices as well. At the top here, we've got a on and off button and a back button. You've got a small kind of jog wheel, which also activates the display here. You can see there, you've got activities, devices and settings. And we've got just under half power that it comes with. So it allows you to get cracking and get things installed without having to really recharge the actual baton. Nothing on the back here, no keyboard or anything like that. There's no infrared blasters at the top here that you can learn from, as you could do with the Logitech remote. You've got the hub though, that's probably going to do all that kind of thing for you. And this remote will basically connect to the hub over a particular wireless frequency, whether it's Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. On the bottom there, we've got a USB-C port to power and recharge the baton. In the evenings or in the dark, for example, these buttons do light up. It's backlit. Obviously the screen is lit up as well, and you can probably change the brightness settings of the display. It has raise and wake functionality, so there is a tilt detection mechanism there, so it knows that it will go off when it's not being used, and then it'll pick up and everything will illuminate once you've actually picked up the remote. So that will definitely help with saving on battery. And the dead center here, you've got the basically like a D-pad button, which you can actually control the functions of like a TV menu, for example, DVD and things like that, and navigate. And the middle button here can be utilized as like an OK button or confirm. So not all too dissimilar to anything that you find on most remotes today. There is a Find My Remote in the application that you can pair with this remote. Should you lose the remote around the house or down the back of a sofa, you should be able to find it quite easily. The remote is meant to last up to 45 days, and I'll get this connected, charge up to 100%, use it for a couple of weeks, and then I'll report back with my findings. So let's compare the Logitech remote there. In terms of its height, it is definitely exactly the same. It is a little bit thinner, and it's definitely a lot less in its depth as well. You've got a similar menu option here. Obviously, the Logitech is touch sensitive on the screen, whereas the baton isn't. You can't interact with this screen. You've got to use the little dial to interact. Not the end of the world, but there's less fingers or fingerprints on that display. Pressing that button in will take you to different sections. And obviously we have more buttons and functionality on the Logitech remote. You've got the colored buttons, and you've got some smart home buttons here as well that are not available on the SofaBaton here. You've got EPG and guide, but which could be replaced with some of these buttons here. Got the jog wheel and OK, that's pretty much the same, and volume and program change are basically all there as well. You got home or menu, exit and reverse, that's pretty much the same, and mute. We've got the play and pause in one button there. You are missing recording if you have that functionality in your media devices, as well as stop there. But the majority of streaming devices these days, there is less option about recording and stopping. You just literally stop and you navigate away from that function anyway. You've got some additional touchscreen buttons here to go directly into those devices. On the baton, you have to go navigate back and then go into devices here. So you can see that's a little bit of a fumble on the control here, and it does end up becoming a two-handed operation to go back. It would have been nice to have maybe off and back here. That would have been a bit more preferred, so you're not reaching up to get to the top of the baton, and that will turn off any devices, potentially turn off the baton as well. Activities, there's no activities at the moment. Devices, we haven't added any yet. Settings, we can sync up to the app, and that will sync with the hub, which you connect to the internet as well. LCD display sleep modes up to 3 minutes or 10 seconds. You can restart the device, change your language between just a few languages there. Check the firmware version, and that's pretty much it. So that leaves us to connect this hub, get our devices connected to this remote, and let's get this all connected up to our media station in the lounge. So I'll see you there. So first things first, I have to download the SofaBaton app. I then select the X1S remote, and then I basically need to power up the hub. After connecting the hub to a power source, I then continued on the app to connect to my local Wi-Fi. And when I got connected, it was now time to connect to my first device. After selecting the type of communication that the remote for that device uses, specifically infrared in my case, I then searched for the device under Samsung, then the model number, and then I was able to test some of the controls that is offered to you. And there are plenty of controls here in the whole entire list that you can use with this remote. And after giving it a personal name and icon, it downloads all the commands that are available for that device and then adds it to your device list. Now going forward, I paired up all the remaining devices that I had in my media station. And with this remote, you have the ability to connect to other connecting devices such as infrared, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, as well as RF signals as well for other more smart home devices, which is something that the Logitech does not support. Adding all the devices from my media center was pretty straightforward. Hardware such as like the Apple TV, which uses Bluetooth, was easy to connect to using the Apple TV Bluetooth menu to pair with the SofaBaton over Bluetooth mode. And there's even Wi-Fi support for Philips Hue, which once paired allowed me to control my lights around the home using the remote control too. With all devices added and input and power statuses all set up, it was now time to look at the activities section of the remote. From here, you can basically connect to multiple devices under a single activity to turn on, change input sources, and set which buttons on the remote correspond to which devices within that activity. I set up 2 activities, one for watching Apple TV and one for watching regular TV over satellite. And this was all done fairly seamlessly without too much friction. And with the Philips Hue integration, there's that possibility of triggering lights during those activities as well. One thing I encountered during my install of media devices, I'm not quite sure where the various percentage values were. I didn't have these originally set in any of my Philips Hue routines, so this might be created by SofaBaton and their user interface. But it would have been nice to be able to maybe trigger scenes within the Philips Hue ecosystem, because once you have quite a few Philips Hue devices, it can be quite an extensive list to go through. The same could be said for just generally interaction to functions outside of the physical buttons on the remote. Going through the navigation menu without a touchscreen is a little bit harder than, say, the Logitech Harmony Remote with its touchscreen. With a few activities now set, I thought I'd put the hub back into my media station just to test out if the infrared could control any of the devices outside the hub. With the Apple TV located in the same compartment, I had no problems controlling the Apple TV. But with the TV outside the cabinet, and its infrared connection, I did have to connect a IR blaster cable in the end, which is a lot smaller than the Logitech Harmony Remote IR blaster, so it looks a little bit more discreet and easily hidden underneath my soundbar. But once installed, it did control the TV no problem. After a little bit of a delay on finding the IR blaster, it all worked totally fine. So with all this set up, that leaves me to play around with the remote for a couple of weeks, and I'll come back with my final impressions.
Several days later.
So after 3 weeks of living with the SofaBaton X1S, here's what I found. Its build quality is solid and the layout is mostly intuitive, although I do wish the top buttons sat much closer to the control wheel for quicker access. Compared to the Logitech Harmony Elite, it's definitely more simplistic. I do miss having a touchscreen for quick TV channel access, or at least a favourites list, and there's no help option for fixing misfires when devices fall out of sync. Battery life has been fine. After fully charging it and using it daily for at least 3 weeks, it is currently left at just under half capacity, so it should easily last most households for at least a full month and possibly reach its claimed 45 days of operation. In terms of reliability, activity switching has worked well once I added some delays in the setup to stop devices from misfiring or missing a command. But unlike the Apple TV remote, you don't get gesture support, and also there's no voice input support on Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick or Google Chrome. So you'll likely need to reach for these remotes for these types of controls. On the smart assistant side, integration with Google and Alexa does work, but I did find that as long as you name your activities clearly. Sadly, you can't control individual devices with your voice, such as turning on individual devices outside of an activity, but firing off activities with your voice does respond quite well. One of the highlights is its customization. The app makes it very easy to tweak buttons as well as map functions to the remote, and I really like that the coloured buttons can be set up for unique tasks too. Even smart home functions like hue lights work. However, as I said earlier, I did find that its overall list does make it much more harder to use. Overall, the X1S feels like a good modern option to replace the discontinued Harmony remotes. It's easier to use day to day, but power users might miss the extra features Logitech once offered. For me, would I be going back to the Logitech? Personally, I think I would be. The SofaBaton ticks a lot of boxes, but not all of them, to be a complete replacement to the Logitech Harmony Elite remote. But hopefully in a future revision, and they do include such features that I've mentioned, we may find in the future a good contender. Okay, I hope you found this video helpful. If it has, give us a like down below and do consider subscribing to my content. You can support this channel by sending us a super thanks on YouTube, or check out my QR code here to buy me a coffee, and you can support me there too. I really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.